Okay, we are now going to discuss really volume 2 of the Francis marriage and children, and this one takes place in, I believe, 1969 when my parents purchased the farm in Nutropoli, Pennsylvania, and that's where we're going to start. So, Mom, you want to tell us a little bit about like why you purchased the farm and why you went out there? And
well, John's job didn't change, but his office changed from Philadelphia up to the Lehigh Valley, and so it was about 70 miles from home where he had to spend a considerable amount of time. So we decided, despite the fact that we loved the house that we were living in and we loved the community and the people, we finally decided that we'd be better off if we would move closer to where his most of his work was related, up in the Lehigh Valley, which is basically around Allentown, Pennsylvania. So we went in search of places to live and finally decided that we would be better off if we bought a farm and some property than if we bought just a house in town. And we liked the idea of being out in the country, and John somehow always dreamed of being on a farm. So we searched and searched, and we finally found, I love this old stone house that we had. So John searched and searched and finally found out an old stone house that was not similar, but in a way it was. It had been built in 1820, and in the area that it was called Nutropoli, and it was very, very rural. Most of the people that lived up there that were our ages
had lived there all their lives.
And a lot of them, they were only maybe 25, 30 miles from Allentown, but most of the people that lived there hadn't been to Allentown more than a few times in their life.
these were German immigrants, and they were called Pennsylvania Dutch farmers, and that was the particular area that a lot of Pennsylvania Dutch, which were actually German immigrants,
yeah, but they had been around there for hundreds of years.
Oh, yeah.
They weren't recent immigrants.
No.
They've been around much longer than most of the people that lived in New York City or something. So anyway, this is a picture of our backyard, and this building right here was the garage, and the house is actually behind that tree, and this building here was a great big tractor shed.
And the hog house, which is
and
where
the
we
hog
had
house, yeah, that was that was where we kept the sheep eventually. This is the backyard, and we had when we got there, we had somebody from the agricultural association, or
conservation, I think.
Conservation and agricultural expert come out, and he advised us on how to use the land for farming, because we had, at that time, we bought the house and 75 acres that went with it, and then we had an option on another 75 acres that was part of the farm, but we didn't have enough money at the time to buy both, so we had an option for a 5-year option to buy that second 75 acres. This was right out behind, but when this man came, he said, the government likes to see people put in ponds in their backyards because it's because of fires, because out here, if the house gets on fire, there's no way. You should really have
a water source.
A source of water to put out the fire, and also they like the idea of having farms with that are I don't know, I guess just because of anyway, the government actually paid for the farm.
And we had a lot of springs on that land too, which
Yeah.
made it all marshy, and by
Yeah.
kind of centering it.
Yeah,
down
they
there.
actually that was one of the big things too. But anyway, this was part of the pond here you can see in the picture, and this is a big willow tree that blew down in a in a storm, and so instead of cutting it up, and we just left it there, and it took root in all these different places, and it was a great shelter because these are all sheep. You can't see them too well, but these are sheep laying back. This is we didn't get the sheep until all the girls left
Right.
the farm, so this is kind of
It's out of order, but I
out
just
of
wanted
order.
to show the picture.
Yeah,
of the farm.
right. This is another picture of
That's right. When we first moved there, I believe.
I think it was. I remember when we first moved there.
Every year, Dad used to do a Christmas card. You guys did a Christmas card
Yeah.
with us on it. So
That's
this was
true.
All these pictures with the four of us in it usually became something you sent to everybody.
This may have been one of the Christmas cards. I don't know, but here's Anne, and
Lance, I think,
Lance is there.
Lee, me.
Lee, Meg, and Amy. Now this would have been when we first moved there. Amy was 7, and I remember
Anne was 12.
Anne was 12, and everybody else fell in between. But here's a picture of the tractor shed, and then here's a picture of the house down the road a little bit. This is a picture of on the farm, and the kids are sitting in front of I don't know what. They were sitting in front of the milk house, little house that where the previous owner was a dairy farmer, and he had a milk house where he would cool the milk down. But this is a picture of Meg, Amy, and this is Cindy.
Lee.
Lee, is that Lee?
Yeah.
If that doesn't look like Cindy, I thought when I looked at that before, does that not look like Cindy?
I guess.
Well, Cindy was a beautiful girl.
Yes. Okay.
That is so cute, and I don't remember even seeing that picture before. Here's a picture of when Nana was visiting one time. She used to come down and visit us. This is Nana Francis.
She'd come on the train, right?
She would come down and visit us. Now, usually somebody would bring her, or John would go and get her, or something. Anyway, she came down many, many times. And here's John, and here's
Meg.
and here's Amy. This is a picture of us in our kitchen, and our kitchen had was where all the stones were exposed from the inside, and when we moved there, this room was sort of an unused room, and
It had been a smokehouse, didn't it? Because it had a fireplace in it that didn't have a very.
No, that's right.
It might have been there was always a winter and a summer kitchen, and it might have been a summer kitchen, whereas the other kitchen was a winter kitchen. They always moved them.
There was no other kitchen. Oh, there was other kitchen.
There was, yeah, they had.
It was more modern.
Well, yeah, I don't know how I don't know where this. They might have had another building out in the back of this
Yeah,
building.
because this house was built in 1820.
Right, but even in those days, they had a separate kitchen in many cases, and I think somebody said that it had burned somewhere, and so it no longer existed.
Unattached because they often did.
Yeah, that's why they were unattached many cases. Like the old house down in the valley that we had.
The old house.
Whatever the remains of that house you could see that the house
separate
and the kitchen
I
were
just want to
two
point something out.
different
Dad
buildings.
has a sweatshirt on that says Shipyard Marblehead, and we didn't talk about that, but their house was located in a section of the town that was called Shipyard.
Shipyard,
And
yeah.
it was where all the Irish people lived, right?
Well, not necessarily Irish, but that was where all the fishermen lived.
Oh, is that what
You
it
know.
Well, and there was a
It
lot
was
of
sort of
Irish, too.
there were a lot of Irish, there were a lot of Portuguese. There were all kinds of people that lived there, but most of them had been there for generations. They were almost all old timers because the most of the houses had been there for a long time. This is another picture.
Wait, Lee's gonna move that to camera.
Oh,
Go ahead.
do you have it? This is just a picture of John. This pole actually we put there because what was that?
Tetherball.
Tetherball. Yeah, John for the kids to play on. But John was in his normal work clothes.
Grinding gear. He used to grind corn for the steer.
Yeah.
That was his grinding hat and his
Yeah,
sweatshirt.
and it was covered with dust. I guess he had just been up in the barn grinding some because he looks like he was covered with dust from the grinding process. This is me, I guess, out in the backyard, and
It got onions maybe from the garden.
yeah, I was doing, I don't know, peeling something, onions, or taking care of something. But this was our backyard. We had a patio, but instead of putting
Bricks or whatever.
bricks or anything on the pavers on the ground, we covered it with stones. And it was really a very practical way of having a patio.
And this picture actually reminds me that we did have that cider press too. And I don't think we have a picture of that, but that you guys had actually picked up a cider press at an auction, and we had a number of apple trees on the farm, and we used to gather the apples, and then like once a year in fall, when the apples were ready to go, we would bring them down to the cider press, and we would, spend several days making homemade apple cider, which was
It was so good. Do you remember when Jeff came over and John said, if you help us out, you can have as much cider as you want. And he drank so much cider that he went home and got sick. Remember that? Oh.
I imagine you heard that from Lorene.
Yes. Oh, this is just a picture of John and I. I'm working on a quilt that I was making. And John had been out working in the outside somewhere, and he looked like he was totally exhausted here. He was just sitting in one of the chairs taking a rest. That was in the family room up in New Tripoli.
So this is kind of going backwards a little bit in time, but it's a picture of all.
Oh yeah,
Marblehead.
well, we were probably on a visit, up to Marblehead at the time.
And Ming, there's a really picture of Ming as a
That
kitten.
would have, based on her age, Ming's age here,
That would have been
she
Holland.
was just a baby. We had probably just moved to the farm.
Yeah.
And we had taken her up to Marblehead with us that year.
Yep, that's right. Because actually, Ming was Lee's cat because a friend of hers had given her to her. But John used to say that this was the cat whose feet never hit the floor because the kids wanted to take turns holding the poor cat, and we had to tell them, put the cat down because she has to go to the bathroom and she has to eat. But anyway, in this picture, Anne is holding her. I can't see these pictures.
Okay. Mom's
I'll
behind
do that.
Anne.
Okay.
Meg.
Anne,
Yeah.
Ming, Mom, Amy, Nana Francis, Lee, Meg, and Dad. And that's the house eventually that Aunt Nanny owned that we showed earlier that was the front porch. But this is the front yard of Nana Francis's house, the estate.
Yeah, the
as
estate,
they
as
called
they called
it.
it. Yeah, that's right.
We have a picture of that here too, but it comes up a little later. So we'll see it then. But so I would say, how old would you say?
I think Ann was about 12. Amy was 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was maybe 11 or 10, and then Meg, you were probably 8 or 9.
Okay, this is we're going into kind of a traveling time when we were doing different things with Mom and Dad and some of the. So this is up in Marblehead too, but we're older. It's out at.
I can't.
I don't know. It's out at the lighthouse or maybe at. I'm not sure where.
Yeah, here I can't see who's
Well, so
in
this
those.
is Mom here, very fashionable with her hat. This is Amy, Meg, Dad, Ann, and Lee, and we're just kind of standing out. I think at the neck maybe, because here's another one that's the same outfits. It's Dad, Mom, Meg, Lee, Ann. Amy must be taking. Oh no, Amy's down in the front there. I'm not
No,
sure
that's
who's-
me.
Oh, that's you?
I'm down at
then
the bottom.
then
Amy's
Amy's
in the back.
with the headband. And
That would be the harbor behind us.
yeah, that's the harbor.
What
I'm not sure
were we at the lighthouse at that point, or on this side, or on the town side,
No, we would have been at the lighthouse, I think.
or at,
Oh,
It's hard to
I don't
tell.
know.
It's
or
hard to
or
tell.
maybe at the fort.
Or a Crocker. It could have been a Crocker. I'm not
it's
sure.
Yeah.
hard to tell. Okay, so this is on. This is going on some vacations. This is what
Now, I believe
Williamsburg.
this was Williamsburg.
Oh yeah, we'd taken the kids down to. This was on our trip when we went to Washington, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we went to Mount Vernon, and then we finally went down to
Williamsburg.
Williamsburg, and I guess
We were
they
waiting for you. We were stuck on
we were-
licorice stick
Yeah, I think
roots.
You had gone to the little candy store and gotten some licorice because everybody's got it in their mouth. Their dad does, and Amy and you, Meg, they all
Yeah.
have them in your mouth. And
We're standing outside because Mom always took a long time and everything.
Oh my God!
yeah, she would like a normal
finish first.
museum thing that would take somebody else like 20 minutes. She would be in there for 3 hours. So
That's not
This is the
quite
same
true,
trip.
but
This is
anyway.
the same trip, and that's Mount Vernon.
Oh, that was Mount Vernon? Are you sure?
This is Mount Vernon. The previous one was Williamsburg.
Williamsburg, okay. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
So that was like in the 70s. But it's so funny to see the bell bottoms on the
Oh, yeah.
I remember when we took this trip, Amy, I think, was 9.
Meg, hold on, leave that up there. Oh my goodness.
Does Amy look like she's about 9? Because I think that's...
Those are very big bell bottoms.
I
Yours
know.
too, Meg.
Yeah, those were popular at that time, I guess.
Yes. And then this is down in Florida.
Oh, well, this is when we took the trip. We went down to Jacksonville and picked up a camper. And we drove all over the northern part of Florida that year and stopped to see the Newcombs. And at this point, I don't know where we were exactly, but is she holding an orange?
Okefenokee.
Is she holding an orange
No,
there?
we're just all waving. We're all waving.
Oh, okay. Because I was.
I think we were at Okefenokee when at this one.
Oh, really?
Dad, stopped and we were. That was or the springs, one of the springs.
Yeah, the Juniper Springs or something like that.
Well, you remember that one place we went to, Okefenokee, where we went in a canoe?
And the crocodiles, alligators.
This
Yeah,
is
and the
the-
alligators were
This
all
is
over the
same
place.
Trip. For whatever
Yeah,
reason.
I don't know. Look at Lee. She was showing her
Got shorts on.
her legs. But who's Ann's not in there.
Ann's probably taking a photo.
Lee, me, Mom, and Dad.
So Ann must have been taking the picture at that point.
Our fashions were a little odd, but
Oh,
This
this
is-
was. Oh, I remember where we were here. I remember we were in.
honey can.
No, we went down to Shell Island.
Oh,
Remember? And before you went over, there was it was on Fort Myers Beach, right there before you went over to the bridge to Shell Island. And I remember they had canoes and they had all kinds of places you could change your clothes and everything. It was very, very nice. And then after this, we went over to Shell Island because we thought we'd find some beautiful shells.
We did find a bunch.
Did you? Well, I don't know. There were so many people over there looking for shells that it was, the picking wasn't too good. Anyway, this was when we were visiting the Newcombs, Joyce and Jim, and they had a sailboat, and they also had a motorboat. Do you remember that? And the kids went out there with our kids went out with their kids in the motorboat, and John and I went out with Jim and Joyce in the sailboat, and we were on the Sarasota Bay. And it was.
I remember the water was so clear.
It was.
See the bottom.
Don't you
that?
remember there was the conch shells down at the bottom?
Yeah.
And Bob jumped off and dove down and got one. It was really far down. It looked like it was only like 5 feet, but it was like,
Yeah.
I don't know, 15 feet or something.
Yeah, that was a really nice trip.
So now we're kind of going into some family gatherings with your side, Mom, at Christmas.
Oh yes, Aunt Pat and Uncle Harry always had the Christmas party and gathering like on the day or so after Christmas, and here we are, and here's Mom, Marion,
No.
Mom,
Anna,
Marion, Harry, and me over at Harry's house.
Everybody looks
When
good.
would that have been? I guess
1983.
in 1983. Wow. Yeah.
Do you want it on there longer, Lee? And then this, I'm not sure. This might be the same time because Nana has the same top on, so this is the same times. And so there's a group of people. I think it's Paul and Amy, Eric and Beth. Eric was born in 80
Eric was born in 80 and Beth was
80,
83 or something.
80, okay, so she's like a year or something. So
It was
and
probably
then
1984.
Okay, so Anne, Ray, Nana, and then that's Yuli and Dad taking a picture.
That's Aunt Pat's house in that family.
Yeah, this was Aunt Pat's house again. It was, yeah, that was probably about 83 because Eric looks like he was maybe 3
Okay,
or
so this is
something.
back at the farm, but we're going through the animals we had.
This is a picture of Lance had died. Our first German Shepherd had died, and so we got another shepherd here. This was Hans. We got him when he was a puppy, and he was about maybe 1 or 2 months old. We'd had him 1 or 2 months. So he was probably several months old. And we got Heidi, and she was a puppy.
But Heidi came from the Stewarts up the street. They had a really good line of German shepherds that they had picked up in Germany. And I think you got Hans. We were going to get Heidi originally, but then they said, oh, we don't know if we're going to have puppies. And then they did end up having puppies. And so you at that point
They
said,
kinda
oh,
had
we'll
to get
take
rid of
another
them. I think they
door.
had-
She was moving, and she had to get rid of him. So she said, won't you?
4 weeks or something.
Yeah, so we took Heidi when she was about 4 weeks old, and she used to pester him, but he used to pester her, and he was a good-natured kind of a thing, and she used to chew on his ears, and his ears started to go up, but she chewed on them so much they finally drooped down. And they were a wonderful pair, and because they were so wonderful, they had several litters of puppies, and they were all really.
And she was a very bright dog. Too.
She
opened up
was-
the back door in the house.
Yeah, she was so smart. She was so smart. But it was just a funny,
This is a couple of
funny
the picture
because she always was. She always let Hans lead, and except that she was really the leader, and it was funny to see the relationship. The only time she'd get mad at him was when she first had the puppies, and he was kind of approaching these little puppies, with curiosity, and she growled at him, and he was, I can't remember the look on his face, like, well, what did I do, kind of thing. Do you remember that? The way she treated him? And then when the puppies would get old enough and they start crawling all over him, he would just lay there like so afraid that she would get mad at him. I think having a couple dogs and seeing the way they relate to each other is a really interesting.
Well, and I think another thing that I forgot to mention there is that we lost her after about 6 or 7 years. She ended up.
Well, here she is too, right?
Yeah.
No, that's
no.
Who's
That's-
this?
We ended up losing Heidi because because it didn't look good because she had so many puppies that the vet had recommended that she would be get a hysterectomy, and when she went in to get the hysterectomy, she died, and Hans was just like never the same after that.
No, he wasn't. He would go around the farm looking, and all you had to do was
1983, so we had a big storm. But I think that's Heidi.
no.
Who is that then?
That's Hilda, and that's Max. I think that's Hilda
Oh,
and Max.
man.
Those are two dogs that were babies or
Were puppies.
or puppies from the original Hans and Heidi, and that's Mom here in the middle, and those are the two.
And here's Dad with Hilda.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's Hilda.
that's Hildy. Yeah,
She had a bunch of puppies too.
yeah, but
She actually came from. Oh, now there's Ming. She actually didn't we? Wasn't that a baby of a baby? Didn't the Stewarts, that Kathy and Vion took a baby, and then that was a baby of
No.
theirs? I can't remember. Okay, that's Ming, and here you see she's much older. She's probably about 11, 12 here. We saw the earlier picture, but here she's quite a bit older.
she
She
was
was a pure Siamese cat. I mean, there was no mix there. She was.
Yeah, well, she was such an interesting cat to have. She could be a little bit nasty too if you didn't,
She was kind of like a dog. She'd follow you around, and she was very people oriented.
That was one thing I liked about the dogs, though. They used to, when we go riding, they would ride along with us. They would, they would kind of keep us company. And they went off and did their own thing too, hunting.
That's right. We don't have too many pictures of all the horses that we had, do we?
There's some in here.
Now here's Priscilla. This was Amy's pig.
Amy somehow wanted to be in.
Oh
pig
yeah,
parade.
well she wanted to have pigs in the 4-H thing by herself. So John started her out with a couple of pigs, and she named them. One was Priscilla, and the other one was what? Pee-wee, wasn't it?
Maybe.
Pee-wee, and 2 sows, and so then they were around for a while, and then John went out and with the help of Levi, who was a neighbor of ours and who did a lot of work around and helped John on the farm a lot. He found some place where he could buy what do you call them? A hog, what?
The male.
What is a male pig? I can't even remember the name of it. Anyway, so we started having little pigs then, and that was another experience.
Yes.
But they came with Amy, and they went away when Amy went off to college. This is
4-H baby beef. Amy.
This is a picture of Amy with her.
Amy, Lee, and Meg all were in 4-H baby beef, and we used to go to fairs.
So
and
we
this is
originally
Amy.
got in because of Glenda Moser, because we moved there, and she was in 4-H. She asked me if I would do it, and then I think Dad kind of said, well, why don't Meg and Amy do it too, and the 3 of them will do it. And Ann had no interest in it. She was involved with the horses, so all 3 of us, Meg and myself and Amy, all got involved with 4-H baby beef, and we're in it for how many years, Meg? Like 10 odd years?
I don't have any idea. We used to have to wash them with whisk and Head and Shoulders. Do you remember that? And we'd have to walk them, and we'd have to ride the horses along with them because they'd pull Dad all over the place.
And here you see us. This is a picture at, it must have been some type of show, and Meg's there on the
I
right.
think it's Allentown Fair.
And, you know, I'm there on the left, and, you know, I generally had Herefords, which was a breed of steer, and Meg generally had Angus, which were black. And we, like Meg said, we really weren't probably the most attentive to these animals. We would feed them, and then when it was right before the show, we would have to quick figure out they were going to walk them in the ring and set them up in the ring, and, you know, get the manure that was off them cleaned up and ready to go in the ring. But we did end up doing it. I think we got the weight gain, Meg, if I'm correct. Every one of us. That was myself, Lee, Meg,
mainly
and
because
Amy.
Dad ground the feed too.
Yeah, and Dad actually used to grind the feed, and he had some kind of grinder that was meant to grind chicken feed, and he didn't want to go buy another grinder for cattle feed because he had the inexpensive one that he had gotten for free or something from somebody. So he ground up this really fine feed, and when people used to come, they used to have to examine our buildings and our feed and everything in 4-H. They looked at the feed and they said, "That's chicken feed. You're not going to get anything out of these cattle with that chicken feed." But surprisingly enough, 3 years in a row, we won the weight gain trophy. I won it first. I think Maggie won it second, and Amy won it third. So all 3 years, we did end up winning that weight gain trophy, which, might add, my father was quite proud of because they had thought that he was, you know, doing such a bad job with his feed. So
I know.
Oh, that was quite an experience, I think. You made a lot of good friends there,
we
too.
had that little square dance at the end of each year, which was, now this was Cherry, if I'm not, and CJ, is that?
No.
No,
Boy
that's the baby.
Tucker Boy Francis was his name.
Tucker Boy, that's right. Yeah, he was so cute.
Now whatever happened to him?
Well,
Sold him, I think.
Right,
So she was
eventually-
a saddlebred, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ann got her because the lady down at the bottom of the road was, I can't remember her name. She had
The Moors.
this horse, the Moors.
They got a divorce.
And she got a divorce, but she also, something happened to her back and she couldn't ride any longer. And she had this very expensive horse, and she said to Ann, I think Ann paid her something for it, but it wasn't.
No, she didn't. She didn't pay her anything for
She
it.
boarded with us.
She said, "I have no place to put this." It wasn't her. It was the
husband.
husband.
Oh, okay.
And
Richard Moore, I think.
yeah, and he was in the middle of a divorce and he didn't know what to do with his horse. So he said, "Can I board this horse with you?" So I don't know. Yeah, we said sure. And I don't know what it was that he was supposed to pay every month, but anyway, he paid for a few months, and then he had so many problems. He had a sick child, and
He also got thrown off of it, didn't he?
yeah, he
And
did get thrown
he was
off.
Like, I'm not going to use it. Or
He said, "Look, I'm not going to use her. Would you consider just taking her for free for the money that I owe you for board?" So she ventured. Then she became really Ann's horse. Mm-hmm. These are some of the other horses. So remember that the white
Dancer, Copper, and Cherry, I think, is in the middle. Copper has the black mane. And there's one of the dogs. That's
that
Dad,
Ray?
and that's you. I think
Is that
that's
Dad or Ray?
I think it's Dad. And that's
What was the
Ray.
white, the tan horse's name? Remember?
Dancer. The white one? Dancer.
The white one.
Dancer.
Okay.
And Copper. was the one
Copper.
with the
Copper, I
black
remember Copper.
mane.
Meg, I don't think that's Dad. I don't know who that is.
All right, well, you'll have to look.
Somebody with bell bottoms. Someone would be Mom. There's one of us.
Well, we had a nice big pasture for him, and we had under the chicken shed there was a place that they could go in there out of the wind and the cold, but they stayed out all winter long. And
It might have been Ray Lee, but
yeah,
I don't know. Somebody with really big bell bottoms.
this is a picture of Ray
and
and Ann, and they were on
Cherry.
Cherry, her horse. And this building behind here was the tractor shed. A huge building. The upstairs, before we came there, had been used as a chicken house. Oh, but it was
when
huge.
we came, it became
Storage shed.
Yeah.
storage for all the furniture you bought at auctions.
That's true. Oh, here, I don't know who's sitting in that
Anne.
Oh, Anne's sitting in. She somewhere along the line bought a little.
She bought a thoroughbred from the racetrack.
I think that might actually
can't remember
be
his
Amy.
name.
I think that might be Amy.
All right, it looks like Anne.
Anyway, and she bought a little carriage.
And she got a harness made by the Mennonites. You remember?
Then she got to know some Mennonites, and they made some
And
harnesses.
that's the milk house behind there that Lee took as a little apartment.
Meg,
Yeah.
I always remember that time we watched that movie. It was either Mother Dearest or that one with Joan Crawford, which was really mean.
Whatever
to the
happened to
dog.
Baby Jane?
Yes. Oh gosh, we watched it. We were like, ooh.
Where did you watch that? What
We had a TV up in the milk house, and Meg came up there, and we were like scared to death watching this movie.
I hated walking back down to the house from there. Ugh.
It was only, well, it was what, 25 feet from the house?
I don't know. It's pretty far and it was dark.
Where are we here?
This is the sheep. This is just, we're showing the animals from the farm. So this is sheep
This
and that's
was-
the
that was
outhouse.
Oh, this is the outhouse. That's right. The outhouse, we never got rid of it. When we moved there, the outhouse was in the middle of a kind of a swampy area. You remember that? And in order to get the outhouse, you had to walk on a board.
Planks.
Planks that were sort of on this marshy area, and they would flop around in the water and make, a splash all over. Anyway, we decided we wouldn't get rid of the outhouse because maybe it'd be a practical thing to have. But we didn't want to have it sitting out in the middle of the backyard, so we moved it back behind the pig house. So you really couldn't see it unless you went in the back. And actually, it was very practical because when you were out there in the summer, you didn't want to run into the house. You could.
We used it.
And we didn't have a bathroom on the first floor, so it was a lot
Yeah.
less through the house.
Yeah, and like if you were out skating, you ran in there.
That's right. Oh, here's a picture of a mother,
You had a lot of babies.
you, and two of her youngsters. They were
Which,
so
you just
cute.
say
They
quickly,
were.
Mom, you did actually, have the sheep sheared every year and use the wool and had blankets made.
Well, see, after Amy's pigs were gone, is when we got the sheep. Because this is when Amy went off to college and she wasn't going to be taking care of the pigs and we didn't want them anymore. So we emptied the building and we decided to get a few sheep. And so we started out with a couple sheep. I remember we had Fat Alice and we had, I can't remember the other names. We named the few. And then John said, we originally got them because we hoped that they would kind of eat the
Grass.
you wouldn't have to
grass
cut,
and
yeah, you
everything,
wouldn't
and
have
we
to
wouldn't
cut.
have to be cutting all this grass that was around the pond. And it was kind of marshy back there. It was hard to get in. Well, anyway, we got the sheep, and then John said, it would be nice to have some lamb, so maybe we ought to get a ram. And then we could have
The babies.
we could have lamb again because we hardly, a lamb is expensive and we almost never have it. So we got a ram and we started having babies. Well, at the high point, we had 75 sheep.
No, I didn't know that. Wow.
Oh, good grief. I had no intention of,
Having that many.
getting this many, but in several cases we would have as many as three lambs birthing, and the times usually in April. It was still kind of cold
You had to
and
put little
icy.
rubber bands around their tail.
Yeah. Oh, there were a lot of problems birthing.
They would
birthing
sit out in the woods
sometimes-
and you'd have to go get them and bring them in.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you'd hear them crying, and so you'd have to go and try to get them in, and
So this is a picture of you guys. I think you were out on the pond. It was winter and we were all skating or sledding out there.
yeah.
That's Mom and Dad. I think this was in the early 80s.
Maybe we were trying to hold each other up, or were we actually on ice?
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
probably
know.
ice
We
up there.
probably
Dad might have
were.
been out he probably wasn't skating. He was probably checking the ice to see if it was
So this is us sledding.
This is
the hill, yeah, but this is the hill behind the pond. And when you came down this hill, then it went right onto the pond. So it was a nice long run.
So I can point out who this is. This is Eric on the top, Amy, Lee, and we'd always put like a jump in there too. So he always went kind of up in the air, and then Beth. And that was always a fun hill for everybody. And here's Amy on that same hill on that ski board. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, Eric.
She was actually really good and kind of, pretty coordinated.
So
Yeah,
here is it's not the same, it's around the same time, but it's not the same time because there's no snow on that hill, but there's the hill.
There's the hill, and there's what, Paul? Is that
Paul and Reed, and then Beth and Amy are in the background.
Yeah. But we had the ice, but there wasn't, at that point, there was no snow.
Yeah, and Amy and Paul didn't have kids yet.
Yeah.
They were, I guess they were just married.
So every year...
Graham probably wasn't even here yet.
No, that was Reed. So he was like 3 or something. This was, every year we do the bonfires out by the pond when we come out there for Christmas. Do you remember that? Or Thanksgiving.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And here, I think the Beth is kind of hiding behind the woods.
This is Ray.
And
I think that's me in the red coat, Reed.
And that's Reed, right.
And Ray would do a great job of putting like a big teepee of wood up.
Yeah,
well, everybody
sure.
would go out at Thanksgiving and get the wood, and then at Christmas time we'd have the snow and the ice on the pond.
Yeah,
and
go
everybody would go
skating
out there.
at night or go sledding, and then just use the pond.
And this is kind of out of order, but it's around that same time when we would always do the hay.
Well, don't you remember a lot of people would come at Thanksgiving, and so everybody would get together and
do the hay
and load the hay. Yeah, on these huge.
Tommy would come because they would be
Turner's
Turner had hired Tommy, and Tommy would come and he would bring a big tractor trailer, and then my dad would summons all the male individuals that were willing to help. As you can see here, Brett's out there.
Wait a minute, male. There were plenty of girls that helped
too, but the females were part of the family, so they should have been helping. The males were not, and they
that's
still
true.
got recruited. But Ray's there, Jean's there, Brett's there, and who's the other person with the baby? Is that Paul, or who is that?
Paul.
So those are all the
Oh.
brother-in-laws. This is really a picture of the brother-in-laws, and then of course Graham is the purple coat on. Reed's kind of standing in front, and Chrislyn, Paul's holding. So, but that
Actually, that
was
must be somebody else because Kristen would have been older. She would have been.
Chrislyn was only a baby. That was Chrislyn, I know.
Maybe it's a Lauren. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure Paul would have been holding anybody but Chrislyn.
No, it was
Is
Chrislyn.
Graham older than she is? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I think she
yeah.
looks pretty big there. She just looks like she's tired.
And then this is another one out by the bonfire. Of all the Eric,
I think I see Ann in the background too.
Reed, Beth, and Graham, and who's that? Lee?
I think that's Ann.
This is Brett, I think, with a beer. That's what it's.
Yeah, I think Ann. Reed, Graham. Okay,
So we were out by the bonfire. And this is Mom's little helper in the kitchen.
Oh, he must have been. This must have been Thanksgiving because he always carved the turkey. He always carved the turkey.
He always put the apron up around his chest.
So he would, get it all over the stuff. Yeah.
That's cute.
That's a good picture of the kitchen.
Yeah, that was a
You can
picture of
see
the kitchen. Yeah, this.
and the old,
the cabinets you guys
Remember
made.
the cabinets
was
that
that
John
from
made?
the silo, or was that from the old house?
A barn.
We had saved some lumber from various places, and then we ran out of all the lumber we had. We didn't quite have enough to finish. We went over to Mr. Snyder. Do you remember?
Steven Snyder, Greg Snyder?
No, the old.
Snyder that lived at the top of the hill who used to have the
Louis Snyder.
No, not that one. Not the one that lived around the corner. Do you remember Rita Snyder
Willard.
and
It was Willard Snyder.
No.
Oh.
There were so many Snyders in that whole place.
You know Rita.
You know Rita.
But I don't know what her father's name.
She it was her grandfather, and he owned a lot of land around there, and he had an old barn that was over in the back road.
I know where it was.
And he had a lot of lumber in there, old lumber, and so I went over and talked to him, and I said, "Is there any possibility that we could buy a few boards because we're trying to finish a job in our house. And he actually came over and saw and visited a bit. And so he said to John, hey, take as much as you want. Just take it. It's okay. You don't have to pay me.
That's nice.
Yeah. So.
And then this was a Christmas photo we used to take every year. I don't know what the year this was.
This is probably a Thanksgiving one, because that's when.
I think it's Christmas. I see a bunch of gifts and stuff, but that's Jean, Amy, Paul, Mom, Chrysalin's on Paul's lap, Aunt Meg, Lee, Eric, Beth, Graham, Ann, and Reed, and then Dad, Ray, and Brett. And we're all sitting on the steps in the house.
I think you're right, Meg. I do see the banister has the ivy on it. You're right, Mom. We did do pictures on there for Thanksgiving, but obviously we did this one at Christmas.
Yeah, it must have been at Christmas then, yeah.
Yeah, but this was probably...
Yeah, this was the hall of the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the year was probably, let's see, Graham's like 3. It would have been like 93 or 4, something like that. And then this is Dad's little helper. Didn't happen very often.
93? No, it couldn't have been.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Graham was born in 91.
It doesn't matter.
Let's see. Oh gosh, I don't know. Well, I've lost time. It's sense of
Okay, now
time.
that we can see on this picture, my mother never really liked to get involved with the farming portion of the farm, but obviously
When we all left,
I was
who else was going to
I
help?
was recruited
he would
for.
often recruit people when he was really desperate. So obviously this was one of those.
And
days.
Mom got the fun job of being able to drive.
You know, we do have to note here too that very rarely did she ever get the Jeannie Breifogel Award. Jeannie Breifogel was Levi's main woman, and she would show up whenever he was doing any physical labor, and often he would be there with her
With
children,
drinks and snacks.
and they would have a complete chicken dinner with, you know, pies and cakes and fruit and
Drinks
cold
that were so
iced tea.
critical.
And often our family was starving with no water and nothing to drink.
He'd always send us down, if you recall, and say, go get us something to drink. And then he and the boys would do the major labor.
Yeah.
So here's Mom again, and I think it's Dad and Joe Schaffeville.
Yeah, that was when Joe was Schaffeville was visiting one time, and Irene.
Dad would recruit whoever he could find, because obviously getting in hay was not for the weak, and it was not for, you know, you needed to have a number of people to do this. So
People would do it at least once.
you needed somebody to drive the tractor. You needed
But look
somebody
how
to pull
pretty
bales
that
off,
the
you needed
area
somebody to
was
stack.
there. With
Yeah,
the,
that was a beautiful area. You know.
And this is Dad's friend.
Now this is George Raybert.
Oh.
This gentleman lived up the street, was an old Pennsylvania Dutchman, and he liked his drink. He was great at fixing furnaces, fixing those kind of things, but his one
He was brilliant. He was a smart guy.
one rule was is that you had to have some good moonshine or whiskey for him when he was finished, and if you didn't, he wasn't coming back. So everybody that used him for a plumber always made sure they had some liquor available, and usually he stumbled home many hours later.
He never stumbled, Lee.
Oh Jesus!
He
He
Ran
was.
off the road several times.
I didn't know
he
that.
liked talking to Dad because Dad would just sit there
Yeah,
and listen.
Well, he's the one that recruited Dad in to do the auditing, wasn't he?
Well, yes, because he said, I remember him coming there one time, and he always would just sit there, like, for a long time and say nothing. And then finally, this one time, he pointed his finger at John and he said, John, I think you're the one. And John said, well, what do you mean I'm the one? He said, we need an auditor in town, because one of the old boys was finally really so sick and he was about ready to die that he wasn't going to be available. In any case, George Raybert said to John, yes, he said, I think you are the one. So John said, well, wait a minute. He said, I'm not a Pennsylvania Dutch. Nobody will vote for me because this was a job you had to vote. You had to
Get voted in.
get voted in. He said, nobody's going to vote for me. I'm not a Pennsylvania Dutchman. And said, so George says, you don't worry about it. I will take care of everything. And so he went around, got everybody to sign these papers that made him eligible. And then he told all his friends, and he had many friends. He knew everybody in New Tripoli. And so John became one of the auditors
How many
in
years
town.
did he do that? I can't remember.
He did that quite a few years.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think you guys would always leave from Florida and go up.
It was a non-pay
Yeah,
job.
not paying job, but Dad always got it. Okay, Meg, I think we're ready for.
Yeah. This is just a picture of Anne and Eric with Cherry saddled up. Just another picture of the horses.
Yeah, Anne actually was still pretty interested in the horses until I don't know when. Probably Beth was born, or a little bit after Beth. And
Yeah, she didn't. I'm not sure when she
then
quit.
at some point it just became too hard to do.
And we all moved away, so there wasn't anybody over there that much. And Mom and Dad were gone quite a bit.
Now this was a picture taken by the church, if I remember.
No, this was actually was a picture when we went to my 25th anniversary, school anniversary.
For Milwaukee?
No, when I went to Plainfield, New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
So this I would have been what, 25 years after I was graduated, so it would be 25 plus 18. What's that?
43?
Yeah, that's about how old we were.
And then,
Well, this was a picture of us when we were married 25 years.
And we were at Lorraine.
We were at Lorraine's house, Lorraine and George's house. They were.
we had a surprise party for you.
I know. Oh, that was so wonderful. You know,
these
that was
people
such a
came.
great
Yeah, and
party.
Lorraine, you can't not
Thank
say
her.
Lorraine was
She's not in
so
any of these pictures.
amazing.
She
She's
was.
not in any of these pictures. Oh, she will be in some of the
You
later
know,
ones.
but
Yeah.
we went to her and said, hey, look, we'd love to do this party. We don't know how to do it. And she just came right to our rescue. And you know, we actually got Yvonne to get like beef for us because she was doing the fairs and she had access to really high-end beef. And, you know, Lorraine was amazing in getting everything organized. And it just, you know.
And then the whole thing was at Lorraine and George's house.
Yeah, it was at their house because
And
we
like
wanted to
a
keep
bunch
it.
of people came from everywhere.
Yeah,
to
we
come
had
out.
people.
So
We
nice.
had people coming from like
Holland.
all over, and you know, because we had invited friends from all over, and like I said, Lorraine and George. Well, particularly Lorraine was just.
That was a great party. Man,
was
that
really
was
fun.
something else.
It was a good group of people. I don't know if I can see everybody. This is Mrs. Canan. This is Ann and Ray, Marion, Amy, Aunt Pat's back here. Oh no, back here. I'm not sure who that is. Do you know who that guy is there, Mom?
I can't see it. I can't really see it.
Who's that guy? And that lady?
Okay, I think we should just leave the picture.
I can't
there. It's not
remember.
helpful. It doesn't
I
matter
can't
what it
see
is.
that well. I need a magnifying glass.
Now this is
Oh.
when you went, from what I understand, when you went over on a trip to Europe after, like on your 25th, after your 25th.
Yeah, we sort of celebrated and we took a trip. That was I'm having a hard time trying to remember how all these trips wound up, but this was sort of early on when we
You
went.
went to a castle and you were drinking. Isn't
Well,
this
I know
Haggard
where this was,
Mead.
but I don't know at which point. I think it was when we went one of our first trips when we went to England. I think that's what it
You
was.
were in Ireland or something.
We went over to. I think this was.
Dad.
I think this was. Huh?
I said that was a good picture of Dad. What was both of you? But he looks like he's had a couple.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. We went to Ireland finally. We went to Belgium first, and we visited there, and then we went to France, and then we came over the Channel in one of those
Jet foils.
yeah, fancy boats that didn't hit the water, and then we spent some time in England, in London, and I went to visit my friend at that time, and her kids were still young, I remember, when we were there. And then we went to Ireland and visited his relatives in outside of Dublin, and then we went over to we were flying out of what is that?
Shannon.
Shannon. We were flying out, but before we flew out, we went to Bunratty Castle. Anyway, that's a big tourist place where they've and the castle was actually kind of a one room down and one room up. That was the whole castle. But I remember we went there and they had sort of a pre-meal affair on the second floor. It was like open. Do you know what I mean? It was like the top of this building, and it was just a big patio up there, and they served mead, which I had no idea was so strong.
Excuse me.
The liquor was so strong. It was somehow made with honey or something, and so we were up there drinking this mead, not realizing how potent it was. And then when they said, well, the meal is served now, and we went down to this big room in the bottom, and they had it all set up with tables, and we happened to be sitting across from some nuns who didn't drink at all.
Yeah, they were.
So they were bringing pitchers of wine. So we were drinking wine, and eating all this food that they kept putting on the table, more and more food. It was I don't know, it was like a feeding frenzy. But anyway, in the meantime, of course, they had a program that they had some people singing Irish songs and somebody playing a harp and all kinds of good stuff. But anyway, in the middle of all this, I actually got feeling sick, I think. And I think it was from all this alcohol. And I had to get up and leave. And I had to go past all these performers because we were on the door out was on the other side. And I went out there, and I remember sitting on these stone steps that came into this, and there were some ladies that were passing, with the food and everything, and they said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Well, I'm not really okay," but I said, "I think
after that mead gets out of my body."
Yeah, so that was quite interesting, but that was another great trip anyway.
Yeah, you guys had some good experiences. So this is 2 photos, but it's the renovation of the upstairs of the garage at the New Tripoli house for Anne and Ray to be able to live there after they got married at the age of 19.
I never saw these pictures before, but that's cute. Yeah, they had it all rigged up. It was really kind of nice, actually. One end of this room was kind of halfway divided. It had a little door that went in it. That didn't have a door on it.
That's the bedroom.
Yeah, and then on one side they had a pipe where they could hang all their clothes, and on the other side they had a double bed, and it sort of went under the eaves. If you sat up in it too fast, you'd hit your head on the roof. And the other end, they had
wood-burning stove.
They had a little wood-burning stove, and then they had a dry sink, which they got from Ray's mom and dad, and they had it set up with a hot plate.
How many years did they live up there? Was it 1 or 2?
I think it was a couple of years, and Ray used to have to split the wood for the fire. And they had
no running water.
They had a table up there.
They had to come in the house for the bathroom.
Yeah, for showers.
Yeah, there was no running water, so they had to take bottles of water up there, and And then Ray almost always used the outhouse, you know, and he'd come in for showers, but he would shower oftentimes in the basement. And
it was a cozy little.
it was cozy looking little place, though, wasn't it?
They got married early, and they didn't have a lot of money.
They didn't have a lot of money, and he was in college. Yeah, I think they stayed there until he got out of college,
This is the milk house.
until he graduated from college.
Yeah. So this is Lee's little renovation of the milk house.
Oh, that's right. You were up there for how many years?
That
was
actually
the-
had
I think you
running
were there.
water.
Yeah, that actually had water. I had to have a bucket under the sink. And had running water. But actually, I was up there probably most of the years that I was up in college. Because as long as Ann and Ray were down in the garage, I was up in the milk house. So I think it was every year, like probably 3 or 4 years during the summer.
You had that fixed up pretty cute, too.
Yeah, it was very nice.
It's amazing what you can do with.
So this is, we're switching over to Marblehead.
Okay.
This is
Oh.
before.
Yes, this is the before picture. This is what
is
it
the
looked
estate.
like.
This was the estate.
And this is what the estate.
This is what it looked like after
my
Nana
grandmother.
died,
Is
because it had been
that's
completely
Dad's house.
neglected.
That's Dad's car there. So this is pretty early. This is like in the 80s. I think she was still living there.
She was. I think she was still living there. I don't think it's right before you renovated. I think you guys were going up there and
It
somebody
just
took a
always
shot.
looked a little sorry. That's
You know,
all. It just because
but
it had the
it
asbestos
looked like
shingles.
that when you got it too.
Oh, it got. That's what it
It
looked
had
like.
asbestos shingles.
That's what it looked like
And this
when
is
we.
the after Mom and Dad. Like, what would you say? It was like the 80s? Was it the?
I
early
remember
80s?
we started working on this house. We bought it in 80 and we started working on it in 80. I think it was around 81. It was the same. I remember Eric was just a baby when we
but
started
Mom,
working
wait,
on that
I know
place.
what this picture is. This picture was after the whole. This was when Jean and I think what was close to when, right after the whole addition on the downstairs went in. And somewhere in between,
This
I think
one?
yeah.
Lee, this one is older because
No,
this
I-
is Dad's car from the 80s.
I'm talking about
From
the
the
new
70s.
one.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about the new picture. Right before we left and moved to Prince Street, we painted the whole outside. The fence went up. A downstairs addition was on. We painted everything, and then we left and we moved down
So what
to
year
Prince
was that?
Street. So we bought that house in like 93. So this was probably right around 93.
What this picture
Yes.
was 93, but
Yes.
this one
Oh, I
was
don't know when
was
This was
80.
This was the 70s, Mom. This car was one of Dad's cars that he had from work
Yeah, I remember
that we went up there. So this was during the time that Nana was still living there and we were visiting. Somebody took that picture. This is not at the time you took it over because this car right here is from
way too old.
Way too old to be.
And
Really?
Anyway, Bob Benson's living there because that's his little car.
Yes, that's Bob
So-
Benson's car. That's right.
Remember that little car he used to always.
And you know, the funny thing is, if you look at today's photo, this big tree here wasn't there.
Yeah.
You could see the house
Yeah.
behind.
I mean, yeah, right. It really looks. Now it's gone. I think that they had it cut down.
I think they had that
But
cut
there's
down.
another big one that's back a little further.
So I'll leave that picture up, but this is, if you go down this side of the house over here, in between these two, you come down a little pathway here that's here, and then you come to this little entrance that Mom and Dad had made into a little apartment down there that Lee actually lived in for a number of years.
Yeah, I was there for a long time.
Before she met Jean and all that stuff. So that was this was a lot much later, but we still have that little apartment.
That would have been like very close to after that kitchen was finished. You know, it was right after that picture was taken. Shortly after that whole kitchen addition went on, and the shed was put in the backyard. That would have
So
been.
you got Mom and Dad you were working on that for a number of years. But
Oh my gosh, it never seemed to end. We were always working on that place.
Oh, see, this one says 1973 on the back of it. This picture here.
Oh really? 73? Wow.
So it kept its sorry look for a long time.
It did. It was a pretty well after John's mother, Nana Frances, was sick was actually after her
6
stroke.
years.
No, it was almost 3 years
Oh, okay.
that she was actually in the hospital, and the thing just sat there.
Yeah. but it was way after 73.
Now this was actually
So this is your
Cindy
backyard,
and
right?
Steven. No, Cindy and Steven used to live next door, and they had 3 children: Jennifer, Brian, and Lisa. And so they lived next door, and he had a jungle gym for the kids. And since she was my cousin, and obviously Dad's niece and my mother's niece, we often shared the backyard. And so often when Dad and Mom would come up, we would always have a party, and we would invite, you know, any of the relatives that happened to be available.
I don't know if you can tell,
So
but this is
yes,
Rita.
that's Rita.
Seal.
That's Seal. And then that's
Joe
Uncle
Hen.
Joe Hen.
Is that Steven?
And no, that's who is that mom? I gotta think about that one. That's Irene. That's Mary, and Donnie is behind Irene.
Over there.
And
Okay.
I think that might be Tony Monroe,
This
the one
one
with the
here?
hat. And then behind him, I think was
Margot, maybe.
I don't know if it's
This is
Margot.
Irene, isn't it?
Yeah,
Right
so I
here.
already said that. And then behind, actually
Let
behind,
me see. You can put the next one up. I'm just
the
curious.
the woman behind Tony.
That was Tony.
Janine.
Oh,
That
So
was
Janine. Now this picture that we have here, let's move on here. The picture we have here is
Dad and his 2 siblings.
2 siblings. He also, who's missing from this, is Joe Hen, their older brother. But Joe Hen would have been the oldest. And then Chicky, if somebody can point to Chicky.
This Chicky.
She would have been the next sibling. And then Nanny or Anna was the next sibling. And then, of course, my father was the youngest.
He was the
John,
baby.
And there was 11 years between. the
I
oldest
think
and the
this was taken. I think this was taken when Nana died. About that time, and Chicky was visiting.
Yeah, I think that's Nanny's house, if I'm not mistaken.
In her dining room.
Yeah, somewhere, because that's where our plants were. It was probably in front of that big window. That
Yes, the big
across
bow
street.
window. She looks so cute in that picture. So I know the story behind this picture because this is mine. It's Dad and Mom came to visit, and we went to Greenfield Village.
Of course.
And Mom was a long time in wherever the building was. So Dad went out and took a little nap, waiting for Mom to get done doing her
Meg, I
full-fledged tour.
Well, Meg, I'm glad you got this shot because honestly,
Oh,
that reminds
honestly.
me of one time when Mom and Dad and I all went over to Portugal, Spain, and then we went Portugal first and then into Spain. We went to a museum. I can't remember if I think it was in Portugal, and it was a giant U shape. And we started over here, and Dad and Jean and I walked quite a ways and did all the buildings here, across, and then all the way back down the U, and then Dad laid in the grass like that with a newspaper, put it over his head, and we looked across, and Mom was only at the second building, and she had all that way to come, and we were just like, oh my God.
no.
Take a nap.
Take a nap, you know, she's gonna be forever. So this was pretty typical of my
He
dad.
had some patience and
Yes, he was not the patient one, for sure.
well,
Yeah, we all know that.
he kept himself occupied. So this is what I don't know what.
Oh,
the
this
time
is
frame was.
when Reese got married. When we came down for his wedding. And this was Harry and Pat and Marion and John and I. And this was Pop Powers. This was Pat's father. And he came down and he was Reese's best man.
Yeah, I remember that.
Remember
Everybody
that?
looks so good there in that picture.
Yeah, that was how many years ago? My God.
Oh, they got
Reese has been
married.
married. I don't know.
They
Reese
probably got married 86-ish time frame, so 31 years or so.
Well,
Maybe even, I don't know.
Maybe
No.
earlier.
I don't know, 86. No, I'd say later because he and I were the last ones to get married.
Oh.
So I would even say maybe more like the late 80s, early like 90s.
Well, probably 30 years ago.
You know, yeah.
well, you know, the only one left is this one.
Okay, will you please with the only one left stuff?
Well, I was curious what that year was. Wait a minute, something marked on the
88
back.
it says on it.
88?
Mm-hmm.
88. Oh, God.
Okay, so this is a picture of you and Dad. I don't know.
Now
are you
I
down
think you
here,
were.
Mom?
I think you were down here.
Yeah, it
'cause
looks
that
like
chair
one of
looks
these
really
chairs,
familiar.
Yeah, it was one of these the chair that sits here.
There's a date on there. So this is a picture of Mom and Dad, but it doesn't really have a date on it. No. And just in your years down.
We
17 minutes left, so.
All right.
we
just-
built
Only a few left.
Okay, good.
We built this. We bought this place in
91.
91 or 92. Yeah.
All right, and then this is probably around the same time frame, because you guys were still going back and forth between Pennsylvania and Florida. So you were down here in the Florida in the winter, and then you'd go back for Christmas because Beth and Eric were there.
Bob and Meg, what they would do is they would come down. They started realizing that October was nice, so they'd come down for October and November, and then they'd go back sometime in December, and then Dad would have to stay for the auditing, and then as soon as the auditing was done in January, they'd leave again and come down for January, February, March.
And Beth and we'd all go back to there for Christmas too.
Yeah.
All of us would head it back there. And we went to the Winter Wonderland. Beth and Eric were little, and then these last two pictures is the exit from the farm in 1999, right?
Yeah, well, actually, it was 2000 that we sold it.
But Lee came down, and Dad and Amy and Lee did a huge job of getting rid of all the extra stuff, putting it in a big hole in the horse pasture, and then having an auction. But this is the Massey Ferguson that everybody loved. Reed used to love getting rides on it.
And the other thing that's worth noting on this is, in this picture here with the Massey Ferguson and the picture here, that my mother wanted to get off the farm long before they got off it. And my dad kept wanting to stay on it due to the capital gains and saving money. So finally, he decided at some point that he was ready to kind of get off it. And these couple pictures here were us loading up all the crap that they collected over the 30-odd years that they were there, 35 years they were there. And my dad dug this massive pit because he had to throw some oil tanks in there and all this stuff that we, just
you threw toilets and appliances and anything.
Yeah, anything that wasn't saleable went in this giant hole. We actually had somebody come and dig this giant hole.
Yeah, wasn't it? What was his name? Zellner? Was it Zellner?
No, it wasn't Zellner. I thought it was.
Yeah, there's the Massey.
Well, who was that guy? You know.
Ray still
the fella.
Phillips. It was Phillips or somebody that dug it, wasn't it?
All right, I didn't know him then. I thought it was Zellner, but Ray still laments the selling of the Massey Ferguson. He loved that little tractor.
He could have bought it.
And Eric, the truck, because he paid Dad the $1 and he never got the truck.
He did? Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't know.
I never remember that. I thought nobody wanted it.
No, he paid Dad the $1.
That's it, Lee.
I think Dad forgot. Okay.
Somebody should have reminded him because he was